If you're considering buying a new Tesla, and especially if you just recently purchased a brand new Tesla, then I have a warning specifically for you, and you need to keep watching the rest of this video. But before getting into the warning, I do want to provide a little bit of context about my overall experience purchasing my Model 3. And the reason why I want to provide a little bit of context up front is because I don't want people to prematurely stop the video to go sharpen their pitchforks. Overall, my experience with Tesla and working with the Tesla people and getting my brand new Model 3 was actually pretty terrific. In fact, I was able to take delivery only 4 days after the initial order. It was fantastic. I was so excited that I decided to be that guy and do a mini photo shoot and take pictures of my brand new Tesla, which may be weird, but anyways, here's one of those pictures. My story begins on June 18th, which was a Tuesday, and I had spent all day trying to figure out which made more sense, getting a used Model S or getting a brand new Model 3. Clearly, I chose the latter, and I'll post a video that explains and justifies why you should go with the new Model 3 over the used Model S, so be on the lookout for that. I ended up ordering the Model 3 that day, and then later that night, I ended up getting matched up with a vehicle. I was like, perfect. Felt like a dating site, but fantastic, because I was scheduled to take delivery 10 days later. So June 28th was my scheduled delivery date, which was exciting because the federal tax credit was going to be cut in half on July 1st. So the timing of things was absolutely perfect. I woke up the next day on June 19th and I was super excited. In fact, I was also a little confused because it makes you think, like, did you really just order a Tesla online the same way you order anything from Amazon? And by the way, this is more of a side note, when is Amazon gonna start selling cars? I think that'll be a game changer. Anyways, I go to work and in my over-eagerness, I pull up the online account to see if anything changed, and sure enough, there was a link to download my Motor Vehicle Purchase Agreement, also known as MVPA, also known as something that's a mouthful to say. And I decided to download it and read it because I'm a lawyer and that's what we do. And what I ended up seeing there was a bit concerning. You see, there's a section that describes your vehicle, and right under that section was a description that said new - previous service / demo vehicle. Nope, don't like that. So before getting heated, triggered, and jumping to conclusions, I decided to turn to the almighty Google in hopes to find an answer. And to my surprise, there were a lot of threads asking the same exact question. What does this section of the MVPA actually mean? So out of my pure paranoia, I read thread after thread after thread after thread, and unfortunately, I couldn't really find a clear answer because a lot of the OPs, or original posters, didn't end up following up to basically explain their experience. So I decided to make this video to explain my experience so you know exactly what this section of the MVPA means if this is what you end up getting on your MVPA. That's just a mouthful to say. Is there not a better acronym for this? But anyways, okay, so here's what ended up happening. I decided the best thing to do to get any sort of answer was just to reach out to Tesla. And I will admit, it did cross my mind for a brief second to maybe tweet out to Elon Musk, but I figured getting a response would be slim to none. So I got a hold of a Tesla rep and I very politely asked, okay, what does this section of the MVPA actually mean? He says, okay, let me put you on hold and do some digging. I was on hold for 8 minutes, or a little over 8 minutes. Fortunately, the music they had playing while I was waiting was pretty good. Anyways, the guy gets back on the line and he explains to me, unfortunately, the vehicle I was matched with had hail damage. In my mind, I'm thinking, hail? Hail?
Oh, hell no! Okay.
Before I could respond or react, the rep immediately told me that they were in the process of trying to match me with a new vehicle and that the delivery manager would reach out to me as soon as they were able to find such a match. Let's take a brief pause right here because I know some people are going to have a hair trigger when it comes to assuming the worst about Tesla. And for what it's worth, I'm a plaintiff's lawyer here in the state of Texas that handles class action cases. I've seen billion-dollar companies be shady and be downright fraudulent. And that's typically uncovered during the course of litigation when you start pulling back the curtain. In this particular situation, I just didn't get that feeling, mainly because Tesla and their reps volunteered the mistake, told me of this mistake without me digging too deep, and then immediately attempted to rectify that mistake. Now, the question is, Did they rectify the mistake? Well, that takes me to the very next day. Early in the morning on June 20th, I did receive the phone call from the delivery manager, and he did confirm to me that the vehicle I was originally matched with was damaged by hail. But he also explained the situation to me. He said that the vehicle was sitting in the parking lot. The hailstorm that recently went through Austin, Texas, damaged the vehicle, and before he had time to update the system, I had placed my order and was automatically matched by the system with that particular vehicle. Now, clearly there was some update to the system because the description for my particular vehicle stated not just new, but new dash previous service / demo vehicle. But the way it was explained to me was that after that tag is put on the vehicle, it was his job to go and remove it from the catalog. That way it would be matched to somebody who is purchasing a new vehicle. This just means that there's a risk of human error whenever you order your Tesla. And that's my warning. If you get this description, what you need to do is just call a Tesla rep and figure out why exactly did you have this particular vehicle matched to you, and what does the previous service / demo vehicle mean in your particular situation. Because here are the risks associated with not doing that. Let's say you get a delivery date that's 10 days away. Well, then you feel like a kid waiting on Christmas. You're excited, you're crossing down the days, you're hyping it up to all your friends and family. They know when that day is. And then let's say on day 8, you get a phone call from a delivery manager or somebody who received and actually looked at the vehicle and determined that it was damaged. Or, oh, and this would be the worst, you show up and you see the damage and then you can't take delivery. And then you end up posting on Instagram, just a big womp womp, and then you have a terrible experience. Nobody has fun. Now, here's also another potential negative. Let's say the vehicle was damaged, but Tesla fixed it and it looks as good as new. Then you go and take delivery and you can't tell. At the same time, let's say your vehicle that was assigned to you was a demo vehicle. You go and take delivery and you can't tell that hundreds, if not thousands of people have sat in your vehicle. The question is, do you really want to pay the full sticker price for a vehicle that was damaged and repaired, or a vehicle that had 1,000 butts sitting in it? Probably not. And so what you need to do, my recommendation, unless you're taking the ignorance is bliss approach, is look at your MVPA, see the description, and if you see that, give Tesla a call and find out what all happened. You may be able to negotiate a price reduction, or you can have them assign you another vehicle, or they can just build the same model that you ordered. Now, if you're wondering, how did I take ownership and take delivery within 4 days? I'm glad you asked. Here's how. Now, getting back to the phone call that I was having with the delivery manager, he informed me of some really great news. You see, he's located in Dallas, Texas, me in Austin, Texas, and he told me that the night before, whenever I found out about the hail damage, that the Dallas location received the exact vehicle I was looking for, and that it was basically mine and he would ship it down to Austin. Well, by pure coincidence, I happened that night to be flying into Dallas for a wedding. So I asked him, is there any way I could pick it up Friday or that weekend? And he tells me that I could potentially take delivery on Saturday, but I first needed to check off 2 boxes. First, I needed to pay for the Tesla because apparently you have to pay for these things. And then second, I also needed to get my tags because I wouldn't be able to drive off without having tags on the vehicle. And he said that in the state of Texas, it takes up to 48 hours for Tesla to be able to get the tags. And unfortunately, they're not able to get the tags on a Saturday or Sunday because whatever company they use isn't open or something like that. And so the window I had was from that Thursday morning of the phone call to Friday afternoon to be able to get my tags. And that would determine the fate of whether or not I could get the Tesla by Saturday. And I know that probably isn't a big deal because they could have always shipped it down to Austin and I could have picked it up later the next week. But for me, I really wanted my family in Dallas to have that Tesla experience. And that's what makes these cars so amazing, because once you drive a Tesla, there really is no going back. And once you have that first experience, that's something you remember. And so I really wasn't so much as wanting for it to come through on Saturday. For me personally, I wanted to have these experiences shared with all the family members here in Dallas, or there in Dallas. And so I was super excited about being able to do that. So I was like, okay, we're gonna make this happen. Saturday's gonna work. And then he immediately put in whatever he needs to put in to get the tags. And then I immediately reached out to the bank. And then Thursday night, I ended up flying into Dallas. And I remember I woke up Friday morning like, okay, today's the day. Today's game day. I need everyone to come through. And it's also a little terrifying, especially because I'm a little OCD, to be like, this fate is basically on the bank and on Tesla and not on me. There's nothing I can do at this point other than just repeatedly calling people and emailing people to make sure they're on schedule and on track. Friday morning goes by, haven't heard a word. Friday afternoon, I start reaching out to people and nobody's really responding, the bank and Tesla included, and I start getting worried. 5 o'clock rolls around. I assume everyone is off enjoying their weekend, no one's working anymore, so I basically lose faith. And then at some point, I think around 5:20, I'm sitting at the wedding ceremony and it is basically starting. Music's starting to be played. I finally get a phone call from the bank. I very politely basically leave and go in the back and have this phone conversation that starts with, "Hey Jarrett, this is so-and-so from the bank. Is this a good time?" I'm like looking around at this wedding ceremony that's going on. I'm like, sure, why not? And he tells me that I just need to sign additional papers and do X, Y, and Z, and he'll be able to send payment to Tesla. Perfect, let's do it. So I go back, I sit down, and I'm in the back of this like wedding ceremony seated, and I'm doing DocuSigns on my phone. And then the music starts, you can tell it's really about to start happening because the music starts, getting ramped up a little bit. And so at some point I get a phone call from the Tesla guy. And again, I try and very politely and quietly, not step on anyone, but two, go in the back. And again, I get the whole, "Is this a good time?" And it's like, sure, why not? And he tells me that he just needs payment to come through and the tags are ready to go. As soon as payment comes through, I can pick it up on Saturday. At this point, I'm pumped, I'm excited. I go, I sit down, I finish the DocuSigns, then I wait. And the ceremony goes, and it's 5:45, ceremony's still going on. And then around 6 o'clock, the ceremony's over, still haven't heard back from the bank. Everyone's celebrating, I'm not. And then I end up going, I think, towards the back when everyone starts kind of chatting it up after the ceremony. And then at some point, around 6:45, I get a phone call from the bank saying, boom, payment was just sent to Tesla. And then I think maybe 6:50, I get a response from Tesla saying payment went through, pickup is on Saturday, you're good to go. And at that point, let's start celebrating the real thing, which is me getting this Tesla and having those shared experiences with the family. Wedding, okay, that's cool too. Now, overall, that was my experience getting my Tesla, getting it in 4 days, and also having to deal with the hail damage. That wasn't fun, but overall, it was a great experience because I was able to share those experiences when it comes to driving the Tesla with all my family in Dallas, and they went above and beyond making sure that I got the car in 4 days. That was completely unexpected, and it also kept me well within that July 1st deadline of the federal tax credit just being cut. So if you have any questions about this particular experience, the MVPA, or any questions about anything, leave those in the comments below. And I also plan on releasing some future Tesla content as well. So if you're interested in watching that, be sure to click the subscribe button down below. And if you're still watching, hit that like button. All right, I'll see you on the next video.